Martin Baravola, Falchigan Vlog Agam. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my vlog. And today I'm going to be talking about Gaelic rhyme schemes. Mostly because I'm just like obsessed with Gaelic rhyme schemes, partly because I wrote up a brief summary of it recently. And basically, I feel that this is something that learners are not often taught, speakers are not often taught. Even people who go through Gaelic medium education usually learn like more English literature or modern literature or whatever. We're all basically more familiar with how rhyming and poetry works in English, and this, for one thing, impacts on our understanding of older Gaelic um, literature and songs. And by older, I mean like 50 years ago and prior. And for another, it mm, it creates a disjunct in the culture, basically. You know, we need to, as speakers of Gaelic in the modern day, need to understand what was going on in the high literature culture of Gaelic previously, um, and so that we can carry those things going forward, so that when people write poetry in Gaelic, there are people who understand it, not just understand the words, but also can appreciate how it's working together. The number of people who are fluent Gaelic speakers who you ask them, "Oh, how did Gaelic songs rhyme?" They will go, "Not really, I don't think so." They do, often quite complexly. Um, the thing is, it's different to the way rhyming works in English. In English, rhyming considers basically three things: the vowels, the consonants, and the number of syllables from the end of the word or the line. So, good rhyme in English will usually fall on the last syllable of the line, or sometimes the second to last and the last, or occasionally the last three. But you know, all those three syllables had better be almost identical. And both the consonants and the vowels need to match. So, for example of a good rhyme in English, we've got: I love a sunburnt country, a land of sweeping plains, of rugged mountain ranges, of drought and flooding rains. Dorothy McKellar. I love sunburnt country, funnily enough. But this rhymes in English because we've got plains and rains, last syllable of the line, and they both end with ains. It's literally only just the initial consonant cluster that's different. Now this continues. I love her far horizons, I love her jewel sea, her beauty and her treasure, this wide brown land for me. Again, we've got sea and me. Exactly the same, except for the initial consonant. So, something that sort of rhymes in English, but according to the way people usually think about rhyming in English, they would go, not sure if that rhymes. We've got, should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? Mind, sign. Very similar, but the consonants don't match. We've got the last syllable of the line. We've got the vowel sound is the same, not in spelling, but in sound. But the consonants aren't quite the same. So in English terms, that's a bit iffy. Um, and you do get this a lot, especially in rap and in pop music. A lot of rhymes will be this, what's called a vowel rhyme or an assonance or a partial rhyme. You know, the way it's discussed in English, it's not really a rhyme. I had another example of something in English that sort of rhymes, sort of doesn't. I sent to him a letter, which I had, for want of better knowledge, sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago. This doesn't rhyme in English. Letter, better, they rhyme. Met him, very close to rhyming. But when you write it down in a line, they're not in the same position of the line. And met him doesn't really fit in with it. But I find this one's really interesting. This is Banjo Patterson, Clancy of the Overflow. I find this very interesting because this is a Gaelic rhyme scheme. So I've got, I sent him a letter which I had, for want of better knowledge, sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago. So we've got here 2 beats per line. I sent to him a letter which I had, for want of better knowledge, sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago, on the second beat of each line. Letter, better, met him. Which is how Gaelic rhyme schemes work. So English rhymes rely on vowels, consonants, and number of syllables from the end of the line. Gaelic rhyming relies on vowel assonance and beat. So Gaelic rhyming doesn't care very much for how many syllables there are to the end of the line, or even where the line break is. It cares for what beat the rhyming vowel falls on, and it really only cares for the vowel. It doesn't care for what consonants surround the vowel, as long as the vowel is the same. So this already makes it quite different from English rhyming, because stuff that rhymes in Gaelic isn't considered to rhyme in English, and vice versa. And to make it even more different, Gaelic rhyming relies on internal rhymes a lot of the time. So if there's a tune where there's 4 beats to a line, the rhyme might fall on the 4th beat in some lines and the 2nd in others. So we'll look at an example from Hey Lennon. It's a walking song that a lot of people know, and it has 2-line verses. So each 2-line verse has an internal rhyme scheme. We have She Lennon fair ban, a ég and asht if and tool. So we see ban and asht. And there's 2 beats per line. She Lennon fair ban, a ég and asht if and tool. So we see it's falling on the 2nd beat of the first line, ban, and the 1st beat of the 2nd line, asht. And we also see that ban and asht share a vowel, but the consonants are different. N and ersht, very different. Not even like mind and sign. Now the 2nd beat of the 2nd line is part of another rhyme scheme, which links all the verses. So next, another verse is She Malanan fair down, a hogeg found and santai hugh. So we've got down and found, which is the internal rhyme scheme, same pattern as in the previous verse, but kul rhymes with shul in the previous verse. So let's take a moment now to listen to some modern Gaelic music. That was Nightworks singing Marche. I do believe it was Kathleen McInnes singing Marche with Nightworks. And they've got 8-line verses made up of 4 couplets. So we'll see Garavlich, Falovan. That's the internal rhyme, and those 2 words are rhyming with each other. Oravli, Dorstach. So or, Dorst. And then in the 3rd couplet, town and long. And in the 4th one, ura and sugrach. So at the end of one line, the beginning of the next. And we know that these 4 couplets are forming together into a verse because the final beat of every even numbered line, the end of every couplet, rhymes. So frech, tuv, cool, the. And if you're looking at this with just understanding how English rhyming works, you would go, oh, well, it does rhyme, frech, tuv, cool, the, because you're hearing those vowel rhymes. But you would probably completely miss the internal rhymes that's going on with the Garavlich Falavan or Dorstech, Town, Long, Ura, Sugrek, which is in there as well. So that's your basic internal rhyme when you've got couplets or 2-line verses. But it does extend to 4-line verses. So listen to Kathleen McInnes again. Durchwicke.
Ha tri fichet blian sa tri on gak mi durchwicke Kaj vel kiljan og mochdi snanina kan hoboya.
So there we've got ha tri fichet bliana sa tri on gak mi durchwicke Kaj vel kiljan og mochdi. So if you're in English rhyming mode, you would go, okay, the end of every line is E. Snaninigan hoboyach. What's happening here? Well, that's because it's an internal rhyme. It's rhyming back to the beginning. Nian again. And some very, very good Gaelic poetry will have a reverse internal rhyme scheme, where you've got one rhyme happening on the second or the fourth beat of the line, and then one rhyme happening further back into it. So, Donald McIntosh, the Paisley Bard, is very good at this. Was very good at this, I suppose. So here's Oren van Clachachruni, where we've got Smichia tachla Shanahian, Fiag Eishlich agus Garavichen, Gundil Shiv Clach nan Alapanach, Gugan Bala Bill. So here we've got the rhyme that we're expecting, Shanahian, Garavichen, Alapanach, Bala. So we've got this sound, Shanahi, Garav, Alapa, Bala. But then we've also got another rhyme scheme that's just inside the verse. We've got Hiatach, Eishlich, and Hielshev. So this is like very complex rhyming. It's like seriously very, very difficult to do. To make sense and also have like every other word be part of a rhyme scheme. It's very complex. But this is how rhyming works in Gaelic. It's a beautiful, complex thing. And I really think people should know more about it. Do go forth and learn songs, look at the songs and the rhyming in them with new eyes, and honestly, like I mentioned Banjo Paterson before, because that's a Gaelic rhyme scheme that you've got coming through in this English language poetry now. Obviously, his father was from Scotland, so I don't know if his father spoke Gaelic, but he's using this rhyme scheme. I sent him a letter, which I had for want of better knowledge sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago. So, yeah, take this knowledge and look at the way poetry is working in a different way. And, don't always judge poetry and rhyming according to English aesthetics, because that basically just works for English and, I don't know, maybe like French and German and other Western European languages in the same cultural Sprachbund. But old Irish poetry relied on alliteration a lot more, counting the syllables and alliterating. And actually, I do believe ancient Greek, Homeric Greek poetry was the same way. It didn't rhyme in the way we understand it in English. It cared more for syllables and beats and alliteration. So that's basically my vlog for today. I'll probably think of more to say about Gaelic rhyming, but that's the basics of it, and I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something. Cheery and draste!